Hi, good morning, everyone. So, I've got some good news and some bad news this week. So the bad news is we are changing topic. So, unfortunately, our special guest to talk about photography and imagery within business has fallen ill and can't join us this morning. So, we'll make sure to do this topic again another week. Another little bit of bad news to that as well. Una's fallen ill too. So, I'm going to be your host this morning. But the good news is me and Stephen are still here. Yeah. There's still actually something going on. So me and Stephen put our heads together yesterday and thought, what can we talk about? Because we could sit here for 45 minutes talking about photography, but you probably won't take away anything that you don't already know. So what we're going to do is talk about planning for the next quarter. So we've both in our own businesses, me and Stephen have both put our heads down and started planning for quarter two for our own business. It's something that I do with my clients. I know that Stephen, you do a lot of planning with your clients as well. And also it's the start of a financial year, isn't it? So we're going into a financial year as well. So maybe maybe a lot of us are thinking, how do I spend my money? How do I spend my time this year or this quarter? What to focus on? Maybe you're already feeling lost and confused after the last quarter and you don't quite know how to get into the next. So what we're going to do is share some tips with you on how we work through that with our own clients, and then talk about our own experiences as well, and give you some tips on maybe doing your own business planning too, from our own experiences. So as always, please comment in the comment section underneath any questions, any opinions that you've got, anything that you want us to focus more on or elaborate more on. Please do that. The more interactive, the better for this session. If you're watching on replay, then again, comment #replay, and then we know that you're actually watching. And again, if you've got any questions, if you're watching the replay, please still ask them. Tag us both in, or whoever you want to ask the question to, and we'll both get back to you at a later time. So yeah, now that's over with, kind of where we're at, where we're lost. So you've seen the title, Power of Photography and Imagery. We're not talking about that today, we're talking about planning. So before we start off, let's do some introductions. So Stephen, for those of you that don't know you, or haven't met you before, please can you tell them a little bit about yourself and your business?
Yes, of course. So good morning, everybody. My name's Stephen Lerman. I run a business called Chameleon BDS, which is an outsourced business development service. And basically, I am an appointment setter, cold call, and prospector. So for people that don't want to, or don't have the resources to make those outbound calls to generate interest in their business and get in front of people, I can do all that for you.
Perfect. Amazing. And for those of you that don't know me, because I know that we're streaming on Una's profile as well as our own this morning. So if this has come up on your feed and you're thinking, oh, who are these people? So I help businesses outsell and outsmart the competition, especially when, they start to feel like they're comparing themselves to the competition a lot, constantly fighting to be seen and actually be chosen. Together we uncover any missed opportunities that you might have within your brand, and how you can stand out, how you can grab more attention, how you can get more sales. So I do that through taking businesses through my 6-step brand loyalty process, which I created after years of understanding exactly what it takes for a brand to have success. If you were intrigued about them steps, you want to see what them 6 steps are, drop me a message or put a comment underneath, and I'll send you a quick video to show you exactly how that's done. So, okay, let's kick off the session talking about planning for the quarter and your financial year. Okay, so like I mentioned before, this is something that we do with our clients as well as ourselves. So for me, after I work on a rebrand with my client, we always look at some brand strategies. And then brand strategies then help the business implement the brand. Okay, so it's all good, discovering this brand with me. We've created this beautiful looking brand. We understand the core of it. We understand who we're targeting. We understand the vision, the mission, all this classical stuff within the brand. But then you're sat there thinking, okay, what do I do now? How do I get it in front of people? So with my package, I include brand strategies which help you do that. So we look at the next quarter and we think, how can you position your brand? How can you put your brand in front of people during that quarter? And also one of the strategies looks at what marketing you can use. So, looking at what marketing will actually work for your business, what marketing to focus on for the next quarter. So that's what I work on with my clients. I'll share a tip, and then we can go on to how Stephen does that as well with your clients. But I suppose a big tip for me, if you're thinking, oh, I've not even thought about my brand, I've not got brand strategies, how do I do that? Where do I start? My biggest tip is not skipping it out. Okay, so we create business, we create a business plan. We put all these documents together and think this is how my business is going to run, and then we go straight to our marketing a lot of the times. Don't miss out that middle step. Don't miss out on reviewing your brand, taking a step back, really looking at what your business is about, how you want to be known, what your reputation is going to be. Because without that reflection, you're not going to get marketing that actually works. Or it might work, but it might be a quick win. And in the long term, it's not going to give you them results. So whoever you talk to or wherever you go to find out more about that, please look in that into a little bit more detail, and even drop me a message. I have a DIY brand audit that you can do yourself to do that reflection work. So drop me a message if you want to see that. So Stephen, I know that when you onboard a client, you look at that. Okay, what's you cold calling for a client? You think, right, what's the strategy? What do you want out of it? How do you want to be seen? You've got all these questions that you ask. How does the planning come into that? Or can you explain a little bit more about how that works with your clients as well?
Yeah, of course. So basically, we sit down and we talk. The first things first is I want to understand what they do. So I need to, because as much as I can cold call, I want to understand what the products or service or solutions they're trying to sell, so to see whether I can associate with it. Because if I don't get that feeling, then I don't think I'm going to be able to get the best out of it. And then I don't want them to spend their money knowing that they're not going to get the desired results. So I have to, it's like when you take a job, you want to, even if it's working for somebody else, you want to make sure that you can associate with that product. So you want to know that you have faith in that product, you trust, you believe, and you think you can add value. So that's the first step, is can I actually add value? And the way I think I can add value is that I look at past clients in a similar industry, and I've done that for them. So the chances are I could probably do that again for them. So that's job number one. Number two is I want to find out whether they've tried cold calling in the past. Has it worked for them? What went wrong? Because contrary to popular belief, cold calling isn't dead. It's necessary, because as much as you get work from referrals and people that you have to have multiple strategies. And I think cold calling is a great strategy, because you just never know who you're going to talk to and what conversations you're going to have. And if it doesn't spark something immediate, there's always going to be that opportunity down the line. So cold calling, that type of outreach, I think it is necessary.
I think you made a good point with conversations there as well, isn't it? Because not always, you're not going in, obviously the sale will be ideal, but you're not going in expecting that result instantly. So having them conversations, understanding a bit more about your target and things like that helps as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And when you're having those initial conversations, so let's say that I go with a new client and I do cold calling for them. As much as it's great to get a sale at the very beginning, it's the better option is to have those engaging conversations, because the reality is the number of touch points has increased over the years. Over the last couple of years, it's basically doubled. So whereas you used to be able to make a phone call, a cold call, and talk to people and pretty much get an appointment or a sale there and then, you've got to do a lot more of that. Like one of my clients, we've got 6 touch points before we get anywhere close to getting a sale or an appointment. So it's understanding that the landscape has changed and setting your own expectations. So when I talk to people and we plan the cold call, and we say, and I say to people, listen, you're not going to get a result right away. It's very, very rare that somebody is going to say, oh my God, I've been waiting for you to call all my life. It just doesn't happen. What you're actually doing is you're planting a seed. So that's important. Is you're planting a seed, and then the more they think about it, the more opportunities there are going to be down the line that they're going to come back to you and say, you know what, I spoke to that guy and he does this or they do that. People do want to buy, they just don't want to be sold to. So it's changing the mindset as well, as you're not going in cold calling, you're more of a consultant.
Yeah.
So you're giving them options. So you are an option. So it's important to have that mindset. If I was going to give a big tip when I talk about cold calling with clients is scripts. Scripts are massive. It's being prepared, but don't talk like a robot. Learn the script, and eventually you'll go off script slightly, and you'll be able to ad lib. And because there's nothing worse than, and I've been on the receiving end of this. I'm sure you have as well. A lot of people have. If you're on the phone with somebody and you can tell they're reading a script, and then you give them an answer that's come out of left field, they fumble, and then the line goes dead. You've got to be able to ad lib. You've got to be able to go off script. So if somebody throws you a curveball, you've got to be able to know how to handle it.
Yeah.
So learn the script, learn the product, learn what you're talking about, get comfortable, and then and adopt a style. So it's much more conversational. Like I said, people do want to buy; they just want to be sold to. So relax, breathe, and smile when you're on the phone. Yeah, smile. You can hear a smile in somebody's voice.
Yeah.
The intonation in somebody's voice changes completely. So
we've got to make jobs and tasks and things that we put in our plan. We've got to make them enjoyable for us as well. And we're like, especially when you run your own business, can you imagine like sitting there going, oh, I've got to do this and I've got to do that. And I've been there, like when I first started my planning, when I first started doing my planning for my own business, every time a task come about, I looked at my diary and I was like, okay, this is what I've allocated for today. I was like, oh, I've got to do this and I've got to do that. And it gets so draining and you just don't enjoy it. And then at the end of the day, you think, why am I even doing this? Then you wake up in the morning, you think, why do I even get up? And it carries on that thing. So we've got to make these tasks and these jobs that we plan for ourselves enjoyable. So when you're saying that, you're smiling, enjoying the script, learning the script, being able to go off the script, all them, they're really micro examples, but all them examples of just making something more fun and more enjoyable to do and seeing it as having them conversations,
Absolutely. And when you're planning, you've got long-term goals because you don't always want to be maintaining that status quo. So, excuse me, if you're thinking about where am I going to be in 6 months, a year, you've got to have vision, and you've got to be positive and think, okay, so how am I going to get to that point? You've got to put plans in place, whether it's branding or rebranding, whether it's having a different type of marketing strategy, whether it's having a different type of sales strategy. You want to engage with different people, but you want to make it a fun environment. If people are going to want to work with you to help you get to the next level, you've got to be engaging. You can't be Debbie Downer. People want to be enthused, and they're only going to be enthused if you use that enthusiasm yourself, and you're excited, and you know where you want to go. So I get up every morning with a smile on my face.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, let's move on to our own planning as well then. So we've given a couple of tips on how people can plan within the brand, how you can plan within your calling. Let's move it more organically to our own planning. So we both work with Una, don't we? So for those of you that watched us all before, Una is a business coach and she works with people with their business planning, getting the business up and running. Anything to do with business and marketing, she helps with the strategies and guiding people through that. She has plenty of resources. So if you're not watching on Una's profile, connect with Una and see what she's got to offer and maybe catch us all next week and hear her then. So we both work with Una and we both do a 90-day planning, don't we? So at the end of every quarter, we plan for that next quarter. So the last week of one quarter, we'll review and we'll look, okay, what have we learned, what have we not learned, what more results do we want, how do we move forward? And then the first week of the next quarter, we are actually looking at a plan on how to implement that. So again, we give ourselves time, this is a structure that Una's created. We give ourselves time to reflect and think and put into action. We don't just think, okay, it's end of quarter, what are we doing next week? We really kind of go through even sessions talking it out with people. So if that's something that you've not do, I do really, really encourage that. But I know that before the end of each quarter, maybe 3 weeks before the end of the quarter, so beginning of the last month of the quarter, I do always feel a bit lost within my diary and within my plan. I do always, we always check in and have these accountability calls, which really help. But I can always tell when the end of the quarter is coming because I feel a bit distant from what I'm actually doing. I feel a bit kind of something might have changed, or I've got a new idea that I've not been able to implement, or I'm an idea generator. If I was a machine, that's exactly what I'd be. I'd be a computer sat there thinking of ideas. So for me, thinking, oh, I want to do this next project, this next new thing, that's exciting for me. But actually implementing and looking at the detail, that's where I lose attention, I suppose. So I can always tell when it's coming to the end of my quarter. So when I do my review, when I look back at what I've achieved and what I've not achieved, and how how I learned from that and what I want to do next quarter, that really helps me get focus, clarity, momentum. So we were talking about making things enjoyable, making things fun. Doing that does that for me. Being able to reflect back and think back, okay, this is where I want, being clear on my vision. All that helps me then get momentum. And even little things like planning my diary. So this quarter, I want to take more time off. So I want to have every other week a 4-day week for what I do. And I want to be able to implement that within my structure. So that's something that I'm looking at. So it's not always just about, where you want to be within your business. It can be how do you want that to reflect in your personal life? So yeah, the benefits for me on that is focus, clarity, momentum. Stephen, I know you're quite new to working on this process with Una, but this is your second time doing it now. What's your experience been towards the end of last quarter, and what benefits have you felt after actually implementing a strategy and a plan?
So, well, one of the first things that I realized was that even if I didn't finish my if I didn't get everything done that I was going to do after planning the first quarter, it's not the end of the world. You can actually bump those plans that you didn't finish to the next quarter, because it's not okay, you've only got 90 days to do it. It's a review, and it's a work in progress. So for me, this is the first time I did it with you, and the second time I've done it the first time I've done it on my own. So I'm not going to beat myself up about it. What I've learned is I do need the structure. And I do need that accountability, because you get so engrossed in working in your business, you're not focusing on working on it. So like you, I'm looking at going to 4 days a week working in the business, and then the fourth day I want to take some time to work on it, to grow it, and take it to the next level. So part of my plan in the first 90 days was to hire a couple of freelancers, which I've done. And so far, so good. Touch wood, things are working well. I've got some great results already, which is brilliant. It's always good to start off with a bit of momentum and some good news, and hoping that carries forward. The downside of not getting things done is that I will like immediate results. And I said this to Una. I said, I'm very impatient when it comes to work. I want it now. It's impulsive. So like I'll give you an example. I would rather go out and buy something now rather than ordering online, because when I've made a decision that I want something, I want it now. And it's the same with results in my business. I want the results now, but it takes time. And a lot of people, I'm very early and new to this entrepreneur journey. A lot of people, you've been doing it for 3 years. Una's been doing it a lot longer. So I'm trying to play catch up and get to where I want to be. And that's why I think having a business plan, or having a plan and working with Una is really helping me. It's helped me to focus, because I was a bit all over the place. I was trying to get everything done in a hurry, and not focusing on the different parts of the plan to be successful. So what I've learned is structure is key, focus is paramount, and having the commitment to follow through. And if you don't get it done at the end of one quarter, don't disregard it. Move it forward to the next, because it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. There you go.
I think that's a really good point, though. Like, it's happened to me many a times where I've started a quarter, I've started a plan, I've even started a strategy for a brand, on my own brand, and then it's been changed halfway through. And it has to. I don't know if the past couple of years has learned anything, that things can just change like that, and we need to be able to adapt to it to be able to thrive from it. I had to adapt so much when the pandemic hit. I relied on a lot of my work coming through face to face. I love meeting people. I'm quite an extrovert, so I utilized that strength, and I went out and talked to people, started conversations. That's how I got my business. I was still very much in the early days, so I kind of relied on that one funnel as I built up my other funnels. But then the pandemic hit, and all of a sudden, no one was networking. No one even wanted to speak to anyone else over the phone, did we? Because we all felt a bit low. We felt a bit, where things going, a bit uncertain. We had our personal stuff going on as well for a lot of us. So all of a sudden, that had to change, and I had to really pivot and look back. It weren't at the end of the quarter that I thought, right, okay, this quarter didn't work out. What can I do next time? You have to dance on your feet almost and go, how can you kind of adapt and change? So yeah, not feeling bad that that's happening. If anything, how amazing that you can spot that and change probably before anyone else has even noticed what's going on. You can be ahead of the game, especially your competition and things like that. So yeah, adapting strategies, adapting planning. Obviously, you put your plan into place for a reason, so it's not something that you want to do all the time. But if it has to be done, then work with it and talk to the right people. I can't sit and do my business planning on my own all the time. Even with my clients, I can't sit and do their brand strategies on my own all the time. I have to sit with my client. I have to sit with my business coach. I've got to sit with fellow, people that I've met through business, running their own businesses, sharing things, discussing things. So that's a huge point as well. And that's another thing that I love about having a group, that we all do the 90-day planning together and we all listen to each other and help each other through that. Do you agree? Do you agree with that? Having that support?
Absolutely, because you've got people that aren't directly involved in your business that will see things that you don't see. So my dad, who's not a business person, had his own business, but he's not a business person per se, not like how you and I would perceive that. He's a great one for saying, step outside the circle and look in. And it's great because when you're so focused on your own business, the simple things you overlook, because you take certain things for granted. So it's always great that we've got different people, because we're all in different industries, doing different things, and have got different perceptions. Some are more creative than others, some are more business minded than others. And I just think it's a true collaboration, because what we struggle with, others might find comes very naturally.
Yes.
And it's those off the cuff comments, that generally are quite deep. Yeah. But I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Talking about rebrand, did you rebrand during the pandemic? Did you?
I changed my strategy. So when I talk about a rebrand, and sometimes it doesn't even mean visually. So when I say, yes, I rebranded what I'm about, I didn't rebrand myself visually. I didn't change my whole look, but I rebranded how I wanted to position myself, what my brand meant, what I wanted out my brand, what's the vision, the mission, really looking at my target audience changed, their mindsets changed. So I really had to reflect on that as well. I really had to do some more research to find out exactly what they're thinking and what they're feeling, and how the people that need me and my service, how I can get myself in front of them. Because when you were talking about, people want to buy, they don't just want to be sold at. It's that same thing of having them conversations with people. And if you come across one person every 50, 80, 100, whatever your conversion rate is, you come across that one person that really needs your services, and that you work with them, and then the results that they get is just out of this world compared to what they would have done on their own. How rewarding is that, to find that one person? So yeah, I would say that I rebranded, but my definition of that isn't always just visual. It is about, the foundations of the brand, what my strategies are, what my foundations, if you will, what my foundations of my brand is. So yeah.
Cool.
And I think as well, when you talked about your dad having a business, but kind of having a different mindset to it, I'm the same. My parents both run their own businesses, but they run the business totally different to how I run my business, and it works for them. It works for a lot of businesses. But we were talking about adapting and changing, and me even stood here, right? Me stood here talking to you guys, giving you value, giving you advice, talking about what I do. To them, that's not how you get business. You think, what are you doing in front of that laptop? Get out and start knocking on doors.
Yeah.
Which you'll know a lot about that, Stephen. But that's their mindset, and they've got to a stage now in their business where they don't do any marketing, they don't do any outreach. If anything, they're hoping to retire soon, so they're kind of just wanting to drip feed some work in. but the world has changed on how we market our business. And I want to give you some examples on that just to bring that to life, because we talk about adapting, we talk about business planning, but I think this example would really help. So at the minute, we're in the age of the consumer. So if you've heard about this as I'm talking, please comment. If you've got any questions, please comment as well. But at the minute, we're in the age of the consumer, which means everything that we do as a business should be about our audience and our clients and our customers. We should be wanting to keep them happy at every stage. Again, Stephen, you were talking about touch points, weren't you? It's no longer, okay, my client will do A, B, C, D, and they're a client. That happens every time. It's not like that, because we have so much access now to looking at competition, to finding alternatives, to reaching out. We can now, I don't know, go on a live chat box, can't we, for customer service? We can go on Twitter for customer service. We've got such different angles and touch points that our business can have. So as a business, we need to make sure that our customers are happy at every single touch point. Because even when one touch point fails, the whole structure of it fails. So that means we're in the age of the consumer at the minute. There's a little bit of background noise. I'm not sure if it's me or you, Stephen.
I mean,
and I'll just check. No, it might be me. Anyway, hopefully it's not distracting anyone too much. I'm not too sure what that is. Yeah, so the age of the consumer, that's where we're at now. Now, it weren't always like that, was it? We couldn't always just go on Twitter. We couldn't always just go on chat boxes and talk to people and ask, brands, companies questions. Before that, it was the age of information. So all of a sudden we had the internet and we were Googling things. So all of a sudden we didn't have to just go down to a high street and buy something. We could buy something from China and it would come to us. We had access to all them different options and alternatives. Through this time, we loved that information. We loved soaking up all that information. And brands like Google, Microsoft, they're another one, they really anchored against that and used that to their advantage within the strategies and within the planning and how they can deliver that to people and things. So they really thrived in that age of information. Before that, we had age of distribution. So all of a sudden, we could transport things around the world. All of a sudden, we could, like the age of information, where we could access things from China. Before that, we could deliver things from China. So the age of distribution, DPS, really thrived in that sort of age. Them sort of companies that thought, okay, this is how you thrive in this age. This is what I need to do. Before that, this is the last one. I won't go back in way in time. But before that, we had age of manufacturing. So, Ford, Sony, the likes of these companies that all of a sudden we could build our own things. We could manufacture things, factories, things like that. Everyone worked in a factory. It was just how we lived. It was the time we're at. So you can tell how times change over, time, how periods change over time, and how as brands, if you're switched on to that, if you think about that, if you think about how your brand can adapt to that, then that's when you thrive. So looking at that in your brand strategies, looking at it in your planning, your business planning, quarterly planning, even when it comes to your financial year, at the end of your financial year, a lot of businesses are okay, I've got this budget, I need to spend it up before the financial year ends. And then you think, oh my God, what are we going to do for the next 12 months? I don't even know where we're going to start. So understanding what's going on in the age at the minute and what, how you can thrive in that will really help with that planning too. So yeah, I just wanted to explain that to maybe hopefully give a bit more of a wider picture on the importance of adapting, the importance of planning, and the importance of pivoting as and when you need to, not always just when you want to. Have you heard of that, Stephen? Have you heard about that timeline before?
I have, but not in that context, and you've just made it really clear.
Good.
So no, that's great. And I think above everything, when you're dealing with clients, the most important thing for me is adding value. So even if you can't make a sale, if you can add value, you're giving away something for free.
Yeah.
So the hope is that eventually they'll come back to you. So I know consumers have got so much choice now when it comes to the type of work that I do, the type of work that you do. There are so many different choices they've got. So what will be the deciding factor for them to come back to us? I think it's how much value we can add to them. Yeah.
I think we've done a talk, haven't we, about competing on price, and we go into a lot more detail about that. So I'll after the video, I'll put a link to that in the comments. So please drop me a message if you want the link direct. But we talk about that, don't we? We talk about how to put value before price, and when customers or clients don't see the value, that's when you compete on price. And even yourself as a business owner, I've been doing some content about this. Recently as well, about when you're so worried about what your competition is doing and how you can do the same, and then you lose sight of your own value as well, don't you? Because you lose sight of what your value actually is. And you don't get anything. And I don't know about you, but whenever I used to look at my competition and practically stalk them and what they're doing and what I need to do, I got nothing but feeling guilty, anxious, a huge imposter syndrome. And then them energies are not doing my business any good. So looking at it and really understanding kind of what your business is about and things like that. Totally agree.
I don't even look at competition, Jess. I'll be honest with you. I personally feel there is enough business out there for everybody. And everyone's got their own little niche, little corner of the world where they thrive. Got their own little nucleus of support and sales funnels. You don't need competition. Nah.
Yeah. I think as well, what's your experience through, because we talked about market dominating position a few weeks ago. So finding your USP, finding what makes you stand out, how you can position that. We've talked about it a lot in brands as well, but a most recent one has been the market dominating position. So I'll put a link to that one as well. But since doing that, since finding what exactly, your value is, what your uniqueness is, what makes you stand out, is it that's helped you then go, I don't need to look at competition because there's enough out there for everyone? Or was there something else that switched that thought?
Well, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I'm still working on mine. I had this conversation with Una. Yeah, it's been a bit of a journey for me to find what my market dominating position is, because it's not quite the same as your USP, kind of, but not. So I'm still working on it. There's a few things that I still need to do. So I'm working with Una on that to get some more clarity on what it is that I offer that sets me aside from my competition. So I can't give you a definitive answer, unfortunately. It's a work in progress.
Even that though, even doing that work, like, it's good that it you can't just think overnight what that's going to be. If you do every week, you're going to think, oh, it's this and oh, it's that, and then you're going to completely changing it. So you really need to find what sticks. It took me a while as well, so you really need to find that. But I can say from my experience that once I knew that, then I was like, right, okay, yeah, this is me, this is who I am. I can stand tall, I can stand proud about what I do, and I can give value. And I even collaborate with other brand consultants, because we all have different, like you say, we'd all have different skill sets, we all have different processes and ways of doing things. Even if I work, I meet another brand consultant who in the end we do the same thing, but they go about it in a completely different way. How I've got my 6-step process and we go through that, maybe they do it another way and that fits someone else, that fits another business. So it's not necessarily what you do or what you've got, it could be the process as well. But knowing that and kind of really anchoring against that then helps me feel that confidence and feel that momentum as well. So I'm excited to hear when you've got yours. I want you to be able to stand tall on a session like this and tell everyone about it. That'd be really exciting.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So I suppose before we wrap up, is there anything that you wanted to mention that you've not already mentioned, or anything significant from what you've mentioned that's made you then think, oh, actually, I want to work on that, or that's something that's stuck with me?
For one, it's to practice what I preach. So I'm very good at telling my clients what to do when it comes to cold calling, but I don't do it myself. It's do as I say, don't do as I do. I've got a couple of tips when it comes to cold calling strategies. I'll just throw one out there.
Go for it.
Voicemails. I was never one for leaving a voicemail. But somebody said this to me, and it was actually my girlfriend who does the same thing that I do. And she said, if you don't leave a voicemail, you will definitely not get a call back. And never a truer word has been said, because some of the appointments I've recently got have come from callbacks, because cold calling isn't a numbers game. It's about having those quality conversations. Yeah. And I always tell people, I don't do high volume calling. It's meaningful conversations, because you just don't know where they're going to lead. But if you don't leave a voicemail, you'll never get a call back.
Yeah.
There's
something about listening to the voice as well, isn't there? Like, you can ring someone, they don't answer, and drop them a text or an email. So I've just tried to call you. This is what I wanted to say. But hearing the voice is completely different. Voice notes is another one, isn't it? I use voice notes all the time. Personally, I'm within business because one, it's easier, but two, you get that, you get that urge to talk back, don't you? Because someone's talking to you. It's a better experience.
Yeah, the voice is very important. You can absolutely tell from somebody's voice, what they're going to be like on the top when you talk to them, face to face. If we're talking about voices, here's a good book to read for everybody. Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. He tells everybody to talk in that late night DJ voice, the cool, calm, collect voice. It's very soothing.
Who is that by?
Chris Voss. It's called Never Split the Difference. He's a former FBI negotiator. It's how he transformed what he learned in the FBI into selling.
Right. Wow.
But the top tip is talking that late night DJ voice.
Is that how you do all your calls then, with that voice?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. Nice. I need to read that. I need to find mine. I need to find my deep, calming voice. That's
it.
A bit weird, or is it?
No, but it's reassuring.
Yeah. I'm going to read that. I'll put a link to it in the comments as well.
It's a great book. I've read it 3 times. It's great.
Yeah, that'd be really good. Yeah, great points. Anything else that you want to mention? You said you had a few tips.
Let me think of one more. Let me see. Yes. Don't beat yourself up if you get rejected. Learn from it. They're not saying no to you don't know what's going on in people's lives when they say no, they're not interested. It's a no for now, unless they definitively say, don't call me ever again, don't darken my door, don't ever pick up the phone. Embrace the rejection and learn from it, because every no is one step closer to yes. So, it's don't take it personally. It's a numbers game. The more calls you make, the more chance you have of getting a positive answer. So embrace the rejection. But my biggest tip, and we talked about it earlier, smile when you dial. Got to be my number one.
Smile when you dial, like that.
Smile when you dial. Yeah. People, smiling and laughing is infectious, Yeah,
I completely agree. So yeah, I'd like to kind of touch on carrying on from that as well, and then making your planning enjoyable, making it fun, making it in flow for you. So again, does a lot of work about that as well. Utilizing your strengths within your plan. So ways you can do that is find out what are your strengths. Again, really reviewing on what you're about, what your business is about, and how you can implement that. So yeah, don't stop. Don't hesitate about planning. Today, if you've got some time, even if it's 10 minutes, just get a piece of paper down and think, what do you want out of the next quarter? Contact us, message us. I have a DIY audit for your brand. So if that's something that you think, God, I've not even audited my brand or reviewed my brand, and since it was done, I've not even looked at what if it's even relevant anymore. I've been having conversations with people and asking them questions, and they're going, oh, I don't know, about the brand, who they're targeting. And then they go, actually, I did some brand work a few years ago. They get it up on the screen, and I'm like, you've got it all there. Look at it, review it, update it and use it. So that's what I'd like to leave you with, actually being able to do that. So if you need guidance on that, if you want some questions to answer, then I'll send you the DIY audit to help you do that. Get planning, get going, make it enjoyable, smile whilst you're doing it, not just when you're dialing, not just when you're contacting people. Smile when you're doing anything, I think, is important, isn't it? My dog, he beds in here now, so he's sat in here, but I'm sure he can tell when it's get to a point where I've not smiled in a while, or I'm like getting a bit, is this task ever going to end? Because he'll jump on my knee, he'll scrap me, and again, you're smiling, and it just makes it all better. So yeah, I like that to finish off with. So yeah, thank you for joining us. Thank you for sticking around. Even though we've not been talking about photography and imagery, hopefully we've still given you a lot of value, a lot of food for thought. for the next quarter and even for the next financial year. As always, any questions, drop us a message, connect with us, please connect with us, and then you'll see any other events that we do. We are going to reschedule this event because it was going to be a good one. You was going to get so much tips, and Sue, our guest, is absolutely an amazing photographer. So I was really excited to get her on too. So we'll definitely reschedule this one. Keep an eye out for when that's going to be. And yeah, I hope Moon and Sue, if you're both watching, I hope you feel better soon. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.
Thanks, Jess.
Thanks, Stephen. Bye.
Bye.